Boulevard here. I want to talk about, a lot of people do, start this over. Boulevard here. Today I'm thinking about wanting to talk about, on the preparedness side, a lot of people, when they think preparedness and prepping, and what a lot of people do, is they'll go out and buy a bunch of stuff. Lots of food, lots of guns, ammo, rope, and just go out and buy a lot of stuff and store it away. I don't know that all that's necessarily a bad idea, but what a lot of people will do is, give an example, somebody will go out and buy thousands of rounds of ammunition, 20, 30 guns, just for this purpose. And, self-defense and all this, and they'll do all kinds of tactical stuff on their guns. And then they never get any training with them. If you can't proficiently operate your weapon, there's not a whole lot of point in having it. And another thing about that is people will do that and then they'll ignore the medical side of things. Well, part of being prepared for things, frankly, should be medical. People get cut, people get hurt. This is medical training. My big deal right now, and my being prepared for the worst that I can imagine, is training. It's not always the most fun thing to do, and it's expensive. That's part of why I'm taking my EMT course right now. That's part of my medical stuff. I'm going to move on a little higher than that, but anyway. Actually, my goal is to become a flight medic. My current goal. I do keep firearms around the house. I've not had much training. I've had a little. Nothing formal. Actually, what my training has consisted of is a few of my cop buddies and I'll go out and train with them sometimes. Some of them are part of my little group of people. And that's another thing, a lot of people talk about, well, the whole world goes to shambles, it's going to be me against the world. Well, you're not going to last very long. You need a group of people you can trust, like-minded people. And I don't think the government's coming after us or anything like that. But look at Katrina. That was definitely a without rule of law situation, and things went bad, things went sour, and our government was not there for us in that. Now, I'm hoping there have been some improvements made. They claim there have been. But, get the training. That's my big deal right now, is get some training. If you want to be a big gun nut and gun guy and all this stuff, that's fine, I encourage it. And frankly, I'm a liberal. And I believe that everybody should have at least one firearm in their house, and have all you want. All you want or can afford anyway. I'm a firearms nut, but I have my political views and my values. And I personally have assault rifles and things of that nature. I enjoy them. Anyway, that's about all I'm going to say about my political side. Those are my views, and part of what makes us good Americans is the fact that we can differ in our views. If you'll respect mine, I'll respect yours. Definitely get the training. Medical training, weapons training if you're going to do that sort of thing. Think about your home security. I'm not a home security expert by any means at all. I'm by no means am I a home security expert. I'm not an expert on anything. Not the end-all, know-all. Anyway, I do a lot of research on everything I do. Some of it is internet, some of it is interviewing people I know in certain fields that might have better knowledge about what I'm doing than I will. And then, of course, there's the old trial and error and experience. And experience is not always trial and error. Things do work sometimes the first try. If you can't afford good weapons training, I'm going to give a little shout out here to Southern Prepper 1. He's doing a lot as far as that goes. He's trying to help people at least get a loose idea. And you can't teach extremely well on videos. It's just not possible. But he's making big strides in helping people out. But just like he says, you can't just sit and watch the video and know what the hell you're doing. But he is helping out. Get an airsoft gun and a buddy and, something like that, and then practice, go play some paintball. That's pretty good. In all actuality, that's playing paintball is pretty good practice on learning how to not get shot. Or airsoft, or whatever you like. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's a constructive hobby. On the medical side, for videos, at the very least, there's a guy out there on YouTube, and give him a little shout out. I gotta think of his name here. USNERDOC. He's really good. He's an ER doctor, and he's showing a lot of good stuff, sutures and quick clot and things of that nature. Just little stuff that he can show that you're not getting into scope of practice things. Like myself, I'm still in training, but I'm considered a medical professional. So I have a scope of practice. There are things that I'm allowed to do today. But if I go to try to, because I haven't done my final testing and I'm not on the national register yet, I can't intubate a patient. Whether I know how to or not is irrelevant. Whether I'm capable of it is irrelevant. If I do that, then that is pretty bad malpractice. So, and the reason I am going on and the reason I am continuing with my medical training is the fact that I want to expand that scope of practice. And yes, I do intend to make a living at this as well, but that'll just keep me in practice, I'll end up probably being the medical guy for my little group. We've got a couple cops, guy that's ex-military. I'm going to let them handle the security stuff and be in control of that stuff because they're better at that than I am. And that's one thing. If you're going to put together a little group like that, be sure it's rounded, Get all the bases covered. You want somebody that knows farming, definitely. Somebody that knows security, somebody that knows medical, etc., etc. Worry about that library too. Build up, hard copy books, the real deal. And have, everybody in your set needs books, not just one person. Multiple redundancy. If something happens to one set, you don't want to have a beautiful library of books be the only one that has them, your house burned down. And then you need to go get something out of Foxfire 3 or whatever. If you're the only person that's got a copy, then that's going to really suck. And then back them up, back them up on, if you can, what books and manuals you can, have them backed up on a soft copy somewhere, a thumb drive, CDs, DVDs, things like that. It's always a good idea, redundancy. A lot of people will preach redundancy. A lot of people go out and they buy these, they're doing this whole big Armageddon prepper thing. And for a lantern, they'll go out and buy a nice propane lantern, and they're good. They put out a lot of light. They last a long time. Problem is, those 1-pound bottles of propane make it hard to find. I have kerosene lanterns, wick type. You can make wicks for them if you got 100% cotton material. They'll burn kerosene, they'll burn lamp oil, they'll burn olive oil. I don't know if this would work or not for sure. You could probably burn rendered pig fat in things. Just about anything that'll wick up and burn. They're versatile. It's like my Coleman stoves. They're dual fuel. They'll run on white gas or Coleman fuel. They'll also run on unleaded gasoline. And right now, my big one, my 2-burner, the next thing on the list for that is a propane conversion for it. And I'll probably burn propane in it most of the time. But that way, I don't have to be looking for one fuel source for that thing to be able to cook. I can use one of 3 different things. Some of the Coleman stoves out there will burn kerosene as well. I don't know that I want to mess with a kerosene burning stove. That's why I don't have one. They're kind of a pain because the cup of alcohol to preheat them, and they're not very user friendly. But anyway, that's just kind of what I was thinking today. Of course, I'm going to edit this a lot, just random thoughts. I'm not using any notes. As always, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and be sure and subscribe.